This video is all about riding your e-bike down the hill. I'm going to tell you what I think about when I'm riding and hopefully give you some tips. So it's on the fast, rough stuff that the e-bikes really come into their own. All that mass, so that sprung mass of the bike makes it super stable and makes that suspension work really well. Of course, that doesn't mean that you don't have to still set up your suspension. So you don't want it bottoming out really hard. That can get you in trouble. Where the weight does work against you slightly is when the stuff gets really rough and maybe very technical and you need to hop or unweight that bike over roots or rocks. Of course, you've now got to put a bit more input into the bike to get it up off the floor. So it's the steeper sections like this one here that the weight is going to work against you slightly. So it's really important to get your entry speed correct. So if you're coming too fast, you're going to find it hard to slow down in these steeper sections. Also, you've got big brakes on most e-bikes, so 200mm rotors, but if you're dragging your brakes a lot, they will get hot and they will fade. As Steve likes to say, power is nothing without grip. The same counts for braking, so you can have big 200mm rotors and downhill brakes, but you still need some grip on the floor to actually slow down. So on my Specialized Kenevo, it's a big bike, it's 180mm travel, so it's capable of going downhill very fast. We've got these Butcher grid tyres. With their downhill tread, they do stop fast, although if I really wanted to stop faster, I could get even more aggressive and put some bigger knob tyres on there. When it comes to drop-offs in the trail, it's the same really as applies to normal bikes. You really need to know those drop-offs are there. So hopefully a friend's going to tell you about that, or just ride steady and work out where these drop-offs are first. Because with an e-bike, you've got the extra weight of the bike. It does make it a little bit more tricky to get a good manual. So you're really going to need to pump and get back down to that rear wheel to get the front wheel up. Or you can rely on a little bit more speed. That momentum is not going to let your front wheel drop quite so easily. As a last resort, you can rely on a pedal wheelie using your power, but for me, that seems a bit risky, so you've got to nail the timing and the pedal strokes to get off this drop-off. So after the drop-off, I've got a corner coming and I can see I'm going to have to brake pretty hard. So yes, I've talked about grip already, I've got plenty of grip, the bike's really stable, but to slow the bike down is going to take a little bit more effort because of that weight. So it's really a case of just keeping your head up, trying to predict your braking and brake slightly earlier than I would do on a normal bike. Same skills with cornering, trying to get my weight low to the outside and look round that corner so I can come off my brakes as early as possible and carry my speed. So when it comes to going fast in the corners, my approach differs slightly to actually my speed on the trail already. So in these corners, it's quite fast and I'm going to be fairly close to my level of pedal assist. So over 20 miles an hour, that motor isn't going to help me out. So in these faster corners, I'm really thinking about trying to carry as much speed as I can, so I can't rely on that motor. Whereas in the slower turns, if I mess them up, I can get back on the pedals and I'm going to get back up to speed really quickly. So I'll be a bit more aggressive in those corners. Of course, the consequences of falling off at lower speed are hopefully going to be a little bit less anyway. And I can rely on that motor to get me going again. So there's a few tips on riding an e-bike down the hill. It's definitely a case of when you can use the power to your advantage, but also the weight, but also adapting your riding to those situations when the weight doesn't necessarily help you out. If you want to see some more videos, click over there for a video with Nicholas Villiers, the 10 times world downhill champion. He's got some more tips for you. And over there for how to climb an e-bike. Click on the logo to subscribe if you haven't done already and give us a thumbs up.